Welcome to my guide on the easiest civs to pick up and play in Age of Empires 4. I've been asked by quite a few of you a number of times to talk about which civs are easiest to learn if you are a newer player or a lower ranked player. So this is going to be for low to mid ELO, so anything up to diamond if you want to learn something that is going to be a little bit easier for you to get into and you don't need a PhD to manage. As a disclaimer, we are not going to be discussing English. That's the civilization that everyone always recommends for you to play when you first start. So if you're already just going to try English because it says 1 star and everyone says they're the easiest, then that's great. But I wanted to add a little bit of variety to the discussion and consider a number of different factors so that you can choose the civilization that is right for you. To help you make an informed decision on which civilization to pick next, we're going to be breaking this down into a number of key factors. The simplicity of the starting build order, the strength of the early to mid-game economy, and which civilizations are good at the 3 main playstyles: Feudal Aggression, Fast Castle, and booming. And we will use all of these factors then to come to the civilizations I recommend at the end of the video. But before we get into this breakdown, I've got 2 quick tips that are going to help you use this guide to the best of your ability and choose the perfect civilization. The first is to pick a civ that you like. Remember, it's a game, and when you're learning these civilizations, you're going to have to play a lot of matches, a lot of different matchups to really figure out how it all works. This game is very complicated, and if you pick a civilization just because it's OP, or you're using a build order that somebody says is completely unbeatable, but you find it really boring, you're just going to not want to play, and that's no fun, and that's not what we're here for. The second tip is to figure out which style you want to play in, whether you want to be aggressive, defensive, or you want to boom. Each of these styles will have different civilizations that are better for them, different map choices, so having an idea of which you want to start with, or if you want to branch out into a new style, and then that will help you choose which of my list you think is right for you. If you're not sure, like I've said in my other videos, focus on aggression and try and focus on feudal, especially if you are a newer player. Focusing on feudal aggression is the best way to learn the beginning mechanics of the game, and then you can start worrying about all the more complex stuff as you get into castle and imperial as you progress. So decide which style you want, and if you don't know, just be aggressive and start fighting. Now let's get down to business and look at the first criteria, which is the starting build order. As you can see on screen, I've created a nice little graphic to show you the easy, the moderate, and the difficult civilizations in terms of the opening build. All of the builds vary in certain different ways, but especially if you're a newer player or you're looking for simplicity, those first 5 minutes can often be very, very complicated if you pick a civilization like Delhi or the Chinese. So for simplicity's sake, the opening build order of English, French, HRE, Rus, and Order of the Dragon are the most simple. Abbasid, Ayubids, and Japanese are just a little bit more complicated, but still manageable for most players. Moving on now to the civilizations with strong early to mid-game economies. Having a strong economy is the best way to set you up in your matches, and especially if you are a newer player, going with a civilization that has a strong economy is going to make your life a lot easier because you're able to produce more units and you will have more things that you can do. The civilizations I would recommend for strong economy would be Abbasid because of their golden age, which gives you a 15% gather rate bonus, the Byzantines with their cistern network, which starts at 10% and goes up in 4% increments as the network increases. HRE have the inspiration from their prelates, which can then be extended with the Archon Chapel. Rus get the bounty system, which increases their passive gold from their hunting cabins, also increasing their gathering rates, and they get free gold from sheep and other hunted animals. The Chinese get free taxes from their production buildings and economic drop-off points, and they have imperial officials which can supervise to generate even more resources. All of these civilizations have super strong economies until at least the mid-Castle Age and beyond. So if you want to start off really, really strong, these are the ones you want. Now it's time to start looking at the different playstyles. First of all, we will look at the Feudal Aggression civilizations. To look at this, I've broken them down into 3 key groups. We have the Knight Civs, which would be French, Jeanne d'Arc and Rus. We have the Infantry Civs, which would be Zushi, HRE and Abbasid. And then we have the mixed composition civs like Byzantines and Delhi, who have a lot of different units which they can use in very versatile ways, and their units will be able to fight very, very well in the feudal age. If we want to talk about fast castle, then we have a number of civilizations which are the fastest castles, the fastest timing to get you to the castle age, which would be Zushi, HRE, Rus and Abbasid with the culture wing. There are also civilizations that either get unique units which make them very strong in the castle age, or they get a landmark which means that they want to get to the castle age very quickly. That would be Japanese with their floating gate and the Yoroshiros, the Order of the Dragon that get the Regnitz Cathedral, and the Ayabids that have a really good timing push when they get to the castle age. Finally, we want to talk about the boomers. The 2 big boys are Abbasid and China, but there is also an honourable mention for Malians and Mongols. Abbasid have the eco wing and they get very, very cheap TCs, so you can very easily go 2 or 3 TC in most games. China gets the Song Dynasty, which means they produce villagers more quickly. Malians have pit mines for passive gold generation, and they have the cow boom with ranches and the Fulani Corral for passive food generation. Mongols do a very, very strong trade boom, and that's one of their key mechanics. All that being said, who am I going to recommend to you as the easiest civ to pick up in Age of Empires 4? Obviously, it's going to be the English. Only joking, only joking. We're not talking about English today. But the 3 civilizations I would recommend all have relatively simple initial build orders. They have super strong early and mid-game economies, and they can all handle feudal aggression, fast castle, and booming like a champ. These will be HRE, Rus, and Abbasid. Now you've seen all this information and you've got the list, it's your turn to take these civilizations onto the ladder and push your way all the way to Conqueror.